Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Analyst for Digital Transformation here at Cognizant, and I want to thank you for joining us today. As our guest, we have Alok Pant, who's the CEO of Unvired, UNV as in Victor, IRED, so Unvired. Alok, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it.
So where are you calling from, Alok?
Oh, I'm in Houston, Texas.
All
And
right, I bet it's just cold and snowy there.
well, not cold and snowy, but definitely raining a lot. So yeah.
Very good. So what's the temperature there today?
Temperature is about 60 degrees.
Ah, so it's
And where are
not,
you today?
not the hot muggy that Houston's famous for.
No, not today. And where are you today, Kevin?
I'm here in actually rainy Boise, Idaho. I was in
Okay,
San Francisco most of the week, but back here in Boise today.
great.
So with that, Alok, this is part of a series that we do called the Mobile Expert Interviews Series, and I invited you to be a part of that. So before we get going, let's share with the audience what makes you a mobile expert.
All right. So Kevin, I've been doing mobility for the last 5 years. We've been talking to several customers, partners, analysts like you and others. And as a result of that whole experience, I guess I have learned a lot. The most important, I think, is the customer, is the working with our customers, where we've been able to define use cases for mobility. We've delivered a lot of successful mobile projects, for mobile devices. And lately, we've done a lot of work in wearables and Internet of Things. So all that, I guess, has given me a very fairly unique and good perspective on mobility. So I think, so I think that's the basis for my area of expertise in mobility.
Very good. Thanks for sharing that with us today. So Unvired is a company involved in enterprise mobility, as you said, Internet of Things and wearables, things like that. So why don't you talk to us? Where do you position your company in what category of kind of mobile solutions would you put your company?
Sure. So maybe before that, real quick on Unwired. So at Unwired, we've built our own mobile platform, and on top of that, we've built several mobile applications, right? So where we focus on is the enterprise. So and within the enterprise, the verticals of oil and gas, manufacturing, utilities are where we have found good success. So the way we position our applications is really for increasing employee productivity, and we've built applications for the usual business to employees, business to business, and even business to customers. So I guess our applications or our mobile solutions are all about either increasing employee productivity or customer engagement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so would you consider yourself a mobile application development platform or a mobile backend as a service or a mobile SDK? Where would you position yourself in those categories?
Right. So let me be very clear. So we are a mobile application development company. We have our own mobile platform, but we also within that we provide a lot of connectivity to backend systems like SAP, SharePoint, Oracle, and others. So you could also view us as a mobile backend as a service.
Okay.
But if I was to choose one, it would be the mobile application development platform.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk about today wearables, because one of the reasons I reached out to you is because of the really interesting projects you've been working on within the wearable space. Give us some context for a few of those use cases, Alok.
Sure. So just to set the context, so we had built some mobile applications for iPads in a manufacturing maintenance scenario, and then we got talking to our customer, and we both jointly figured if we could give a hands-free user experience to the warehouse worker, that may be a good thing. At the same time, we were talking to Google and seeing how we can collaborate around Google Glass. So the application that we have built, and the demo is on our website, is where a warehouse worker is wearing Google glasses, can actually go and do functions like stock overview, goods movement, material movement, using all voice commands, so that even as they're driving a forklift, they have stuff in their hands, and they can give voice commands and I guess do work even as they are kind of doing their physical work. So it's really overlaying the digital with the physical. And in this case, the scenario is very simple. So the worker is moving material and doing stock overviews, and we've put our application on Google Glass So Google Glass is directly talking to SAP, getting real-time information back and forth, so that the worker can, be much more productive and save time.
Very interesting. So is the Google Glass capable, the camera within it, looking at a barcode, capturing that barcode, recognizing it, and then activating a workflow within SAP?
Yes. So what we have done is you can either use barcodes or QR codes. So our application can scan both of those. So yes. So using the Google Glass camera, the worker actually scans the barcode. That's another way of inputting data. Absolutely. So we give people either, you can barcode, you can scan things, you can give voice input, or you can even use gestures. All three in the same app.
Got it. So let's talk about a few of those. How close do you actually have to be to the average barcode for the Google Glass to work effectively?
So I think in this case, we've at least been, I'm trying to think, maybe in the warehouse, at least 10 feet, but don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure, how far you can be. But we used it, I think, at a distance of, about 7 or 8 feet, 10 feet, and it worked. So on top of Google Glass, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so you can stay on the forklift and get close enough with the forklift to look at a barcode and have it captured effectively?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And what we've also done is, along with Google Glass, we've also built an application for a smartwatch, Android Wear smartwatch, where it's integrated with SAP again, and the worker or an executive can approve, for example, purchase orders. They look at their wrist, quick glance, hit approve, and it goes to SAP and approves it. So we've been doing both smart glasses and smart watches when it comes to wearables.
Okay. So talk to me about, you mentioned gestures with Google Glass. How does that actually work?
Yes, so one of the ways you can interact with Google Glass is through tap, right, and swipes. So let's say you're in a noisy environment, right, and the voice may not be the best form of input. In that case, you could tap or use swipes. So there is more than one way by which you interact with Glass, and so depending on the situation, one way could be better than the other. So it's really swipes and taps.
Okay, and then
I forgot. So we also have the head movement. So you can actually give commands on Google Glass using your head movements. So in our application, we've also enabled that. So you could actually move your head like this and enact an action. So that's another gesture, head movements.
Very good. So what do you see on the screen in your vision here? Are you pointing the glass at something on your screen like a mouse button and then you would make a gesture?
No, the gesture would be no. So on the frame,
yes,
you tap on the frame. I wish I had my here.
Tap on the frame, but how do you do it when you just move your head?
When you move your head, you've already programmed it with certain angles, and so that what you've done is you basically said, if it's at 45-degree, do this. So you basically program your headset at some angles so it knows what commands to do.
Oh, very good. So touch, what kind of software do you have? I mean, the voice part. If you're using your voice, is that native software within Google Glass, or do you have to use a third party?
No, it was just, we did not use any third party for enabling voice or language.
So you can give voice commands, and Google software will interpret that as a programmatic command.
So yeah, so we use GDK, which is the Glass Development Kit, and that was used along with the APIs, and on top of that with the Unvired mobile platform to build out the app, the Glass app.
Got it. And then you connect that right back into SAP in some kind of a warehouse management app?
Yeah, in this case, it was basically connecting with SAP Material Management, the MM module, and Inventory Management. And again, just to be clear, so we put the Unwired mobile platform on Google Glass, and it talked to the Material MM module and Inventory Management module in SAP, real time.
Oh, that's powerful. Now, you also referenced smart watches. In what kind of environment or use case did you see smart watches being used in an industrial environment?
Yeah, so and this is some real customer feedback. So when we were working on this pilot, the CIO, figured, he was concerned that maybe the warehouse worker could be distracted wearing the glass and driving a forklift. So his view was perhaps a smart watch could be less of a distraction. So he was thinking the same thing, kind of moving material, etc., but with the application on a smartwatch. So that's one scenario. The more common scenario could be, a digital checklist, could be coming on your watch. So from a compliance perspective, in the oil and gas, for example, you're changing a pump, and there are 5 things you need to do. So you could send some notifications one by one, and so that as the worker progresses, you're making sure that indeed the steps were followed. So I think digital checklists and instructions could be sent to the smartwatch. But again, I think for all these devices, we need to think of new use cases, right? Because the the form is totally different, and you don't want to replicate what already works well for mobile devices. So we really feel that we have to find the right use cases, and it'll take everybody maybe 6 months to a year working in actual customer situations to figure it all out.
Very good. So wearables is just one component of the area you focus on. What are some of the other kind of most interesting projects you've worked on recently, connecting back into SAP or Oracle or something like that?
So a couple of ones. One is, let me describe to you one of our projects, which is Internet of Things, right? Everybody's talking about it, so I guess I need to do my share. What we have done there is, it was a mining company, and they had sensors on their equipment, right? So condition and monitoring sensors. So what we've done is we've taken all that, I think in this case it was vibration monitoring. So we've taken that data and sent it to a database so that the customer can actually analyze this condition data over time so that they can make better decisions from a predictive maintenance perspective. So that's one of our first IoT projects, right? And secondly, and we talked about Google Glass, so I won't talk about that. The other interesting project we have done is we've also mobilized the Microsoft SharePoint and integrated that with SAP. The scenario is you're in a maintenance situation. Your compliance documents are in SharePoint, but you are doing your activities in SAP Plan Maintenance. So within the SAP PM module, the worker can access the documents from SharePoint. They enter data, as they're measuring, temperature or pressure, and then they have the ability to save that data, some of it back to SharePoint and some of it back to SAP. So I think this integration of SharePoint with SAP in a real customer situation, in a very important compliance setting, we feel that that's a pretty exciting project.
Well, very good. Well, Alok, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us. Boy, you've covered so many different interesting areas: the wearables, Internet of Things, integrating with multiple back-end systems and collaboration platforms, including SharePoint and SAP in real time. So thank you for sharing all those, and just thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kevin, for your time. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.